You were listening to episode 193 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and I want to be a real bee in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
So this week we played a little bit of Pinobee on the PlayStation 1, and I got some thoughts on it, Ryan.
Yeah, I really, when I saw Pinobee, I was like, I recognize this cover, and I had no idea that it was like a Pinocchio story.
I didn't even catch. Oh yeah, no. Now that you mention, I did catch that in the intro. The whole concept. Yeah.
It's Pinobee, like Pinocchio, the same thing.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting story at the get-go. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that in the latter half of our podcast. Really, the latter quarter of our podcast. It's always like the very end. So, as always, we will talk about our recent pickups and what we're currently playing. Ryan, I had a hell of a week.
Yeah, you certainly did, John.
Yeah, so obviously I brought
every other day this guy's texting me, "You're not going to believe what happened."
Yeah. No, calling Ryan like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. So like last week that we recorded, I had the Nintendo 64 pickup as well as that Sega pickup. The lot with however many games that came in it with a whole bunch of complete in box and game only situation. Well, this week it increased. I don't even remember half the crap I picked up. Let me just look at the photos that I put on Instagram, which is a nice segue into that. You can find us on Instagram at the Game Deflators, on Facebook at the Game Deflators, and also on Twitter at Game Deflators. Of course, find us on the GameDeflators.com. You can find us on the podcast app you're listening to, or another one if you want to go to a different podcast app and leave a 5-star review. Okay, so let me look at these photos. So the first one that I picked up this week came with General Chaos, Rocket Knight Adventures, Gunstar Heroes, Sparkster, which is like the sequel to Rocket Knight Adventures, Battletoads Double Dragon, Battletoads, Death Duel, and then Biohazard, and a whole bunch of other games. So you can look at the photo on Instagram. It has everything there. I also got the Genesis Flashback Deluxe, which is a second release that they had. It has like 85 games on it, which is pretty cool. But the best part about it is it has 2 battery-powered wireless controllers that are Bluetooth, I guess, or infrared, and then it has 2 wired controllers. So that'll be pretty cool because you and I can play that, from wherever I want to put it in the household.
Yeah,
it'll kind of fit whichever scenario. And then the one I got yesterday was, and some of those were, the last one I just said was like, some were complete in box, some were just box and games, some are loose, like the Sparkster and the Gunstar Heroes are loose, but I have a tendency to print out new covers, and dude, when you see these in person tomorrow, these are solid. Like, yeah, solid covers. Like, I'm very happy with how they printed out and the paper I use. So they're the perfect size. They sleeve in with no issue, no like little edge that like doesn't fully meet the end of the clamshell. Like, they are perfect cuts. So I'm happy with that. But yesterday's pickup involved Contra Hard Corps, which is a nice game. Chase HQ2. We got some Super Hang-On, E-SWAT Under Siege, and then Grindstormer was the other one. Grindstormer, like on its own, is like $120 game.
Dang.
Which is pretty cool. Like, not to look at it from a value perspective, but some of these titles, like if we ever want to play them, they're either not on these like, flashback consoles, or they're just kind of hard to come across, and I don't want to spend $100 on it. So it's always nice to be able to pick up
Rocket Knight and Sparks are pretty decently priced, aren't they?
Rocket Knight's like a $30 game. Sparkster, I want to say, is like 100 something, and then Gunstar Heroes, I want to say, is like 60 or 70. That one's dropped, I feel, in price. But regardless, they're all really nice pickups. I need to get some new clamshells because the next thing I want to do is, after I clean the guts on, so I cleaned the guts on all of the games I got yesterday, which was the Hard Corps and all that. Like, my whole process is Q-tip and rubbing alcohol for the interior of the shell to get any grime out of that. I take that apart, I open it up, take out the pin board or the board itself, wipe that down on the pins, and clean those up with stovetop cleaner, actually, is what I use. And it tends to work really well. There's probably people out there that will curse me for that, but it works. I've never had issues. And then I cleaned that up a little bit. And then the exterior, I actually, as long as there's no like stickers or anything, I wiped that down with Armor All, and they all have a new car smell now, which is
Nice.
great. Yeah. So they're all nice and shiny, all
Did
nice
you
and
get the
clean.
smoke out of those other ones yet?
So I haven't actually opened up the case that I have them in. So what I did for that, and I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but if you take dryer sheets like Bounce and you throw, yeah, I did, and you just throw them into like every single game case and like just load it up, it'll eventually get rid of a lot of that smoke smell. It'll still kind of be there, but like it's covered up and masked. So my plan on those is going to be to do the same process, right? And that'll help get rid of that smoke smell as well once I hit them with Armor All and everything. But right now, what I've done is I put all of them into a tote, and then that tote is filled with Bounce sheets, like in multiple layers. And then I sealed that up with the top and then taped it all around. So my hope is that because it's been sitting there for about a week, the smoke smell should be gone because of that. So that's my hope. We'll see what happens. Worst case scenario, I'll just wipe them all down with Armor All again, and hopefully the smell goes away. Like that's all you can hope for. So hope for the best on that. But no big deal. I mean, if there's smoke smell or smoke smell, it'll go away at some point. I don't like smoke smell stays for a long time, but I think once it's aired out for quite a bit, it should kind of dissipate. You'd have to like put your nose up right to it to smell smoke at this point. Like it was pretty bad before, but I'm sure it's not as bad now.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, some good pickups. So yeah, Ryan loves Sega games. His favorite. Sega Genesis is his absolute favorite console of all time. So I know that he is so excited to play these games with me.
Oh yeah, dude. I love having 6 face buttons.
Yeah, no,
It's my favorite, especially when 2 of them only ever work.
Well, I mean, I got new controllers. Oh yeah, so I did mention another pickup I had during the week. The same guy that I bought the Sega Genesis stuff from a while back, he actually just sold me several games like Parasite Eve 2, a couple other PS1 games, and he also sold me like 3 N64 controllers, 4 Sega Genesis controllers that all seem okay, but I'm going to open up and clean them. And then he also sold me like 4 NES controllers as well.
Nice.
And that was a good price. Like I was very happy with what I got those for. So yeah, I mean, all pretty good there. And then currently playing, I beat Kena Bridge of Spirits with my wife this week.
I saw that.
I
liked it?
Honestly, it's probably going to be my game of the year.
Dang.
Like I'm 100% serious on that. Like it's got like 8 and 9s overall on reviews.
Better than Elden Ring, huh?
Dude, I'm absolutely loving it. Like Elden Ring is good, but the story on Kena was so phenomenal, man. Like it was an absolute gem of a game. Like if you have not played this game, you have got to play this game. It's so good. It honestly really did remind me of like Horizon Zero Dawn meets Pixar is what it like reminded me of. Now it's not as like open world as Horizon. You are a little more constrained in your areas, and there are little wonky situations with controls from here and there. But overall, the game was absolutely phenomenal. 100% recommend it. If you are somebody that is very much like favoring story-based games, this is definitely one to look into. The combat and whatnot was actually very fluid. Like there wasn't any issues on that. There's plenty of collectibles and things to do on the side that kind of like enhance your view of this world that's been created. And it's short too. It's only like 12 hours. So it's not like the longest of games. So like you can really hammer this out and get a great experience in a short period of time. And I want to say the game's floating around $30 right now if you buy it like brand new. So used, you're probably looking like $20. Like it's 100% worth the experience. Like honestly, like you and your wife should play this one. I think you both would love it.
On my PS5?
On your PS4, because it is on PS4 as well.
Yeah. Sure it is.
It is.
I know, but it's like I'm at that point now where we're in the cross-gen. It's like what games are worth picking up for PS4 and which ones are just worth waiting for the PS5
I mean, this one is worth picking up for the PS4 just because, graphically, I don't think it's earlier on in the life cycle of the console, right? And you have the opportunity to when I was playing it, you had 4K 30 frames per second or 6K or not 6K, 60 frames per second upscale 4K. So I think you'll be fine. Like, as long as you can play it at 60 frames per second on PS4, I'm not sure if you can, but I don't see why not. As long as you can do 60 frames per second on the PS4, I think you'll be okay with it.
Okay.
And if it's $20 right now for like PS4 for a used copy, like go for it, dude. Like it's totally worth it. Like you'll regret playing it 2 years from now when you could have played it like this week.
Yeah.
So just a thought on that.
I'm not going to play it this week.
You're not, I know, because you got other games to play. And then I am playing Elden Ring still, so I am like level 110. I actually just went ahead and used one of those, whatever the hell they're called, the
respec things.
Yeah, the respec things. I just
larval
used that
tiers or something.
Yeah, the larval tier. And the main reason I did that is because I had my arcane up to like 11, and I didn't need it. It was only for a specific weapon. And then I also had my faith up to 24, and I didn't need my faith up to 24. So I put that back to like 19 or something, and I left my arcane at 8, and then I put more into my intelligence and my what is it, vitality, I guess. I forget what they technically call it on there, but
for health.
Yeah, to increase my health. So I did those things. I'm finishing up Ronnie's quest line right now, which involves me fighting this giant dragonfly thing that has like a pincers on its face. I forget its name. It's like Ansel is the name of the creature. And he's an absolute bitch. And there's no help that I can get. So I'm having to go in with my summon. And the problem with my summon is that he kills it within like however many strikes. So like I'm using the mimic tier summon, and that's fine and all, except the mimic tier summon, you know, it's only like level 3 for me right now, and I got to boost it up, and I'm not finding what I need to be able to boost it up past level 3. So I'm still searching for like the level 4 glovewort, whatever the hell it's called.
They're in the dungeons.
Yeah, I know, but I'm having trouble finding the number 4. Like I can't find it. Like I've looked all around where it's supposed to be, and I can't find a damn thing. So I'm going to try again tonight. Yeah. So once I can level those up, I think I'll have a better shot at beating that particular enemy, and I won't have as many issues in like trying to summon people. Like I haven't had many issues summoning people in the game as of late, but in situations like that, it's one of those like optional bosses in this random quest line. And the chances of you finding like that particular, like a summon or somebody summoning for that particular boss is just like a bitch. Like it's just not happening.
Is it the giant like star dragon kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, if you look up, it's that Ansel character. I forget the full name. Estelle. There you go.
Ansel is the area, the Ansel River Basin.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Yeah, Estelle, Stars of Darkness.
Yep. Yeah, he's a nightmare.
He's pretty sick. The weapon you can get from like his soul is pretty dope. I made it. It's like a mace that's like a solar system.
Are you sure this one? It's like the Great Sword or something like that. It's like I forget he drops a sword, I thought.
No, the weapon you can make from his soul.
Oh, I gotcha. I haven't actually messed with any of that. Like I have all of those, you know, like greater runes from the enemies I defeated, and I haven't done anything with them yet.
Some of them are pretty cool. Like I used, and you can use them twice.
Oh, okay.
Like there's a thing that you can go to. That's what those turtles are. The big turtle tomes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go in there and make like a duplicate of a boss soul one time. So like I used that so that I could get both of Renala's things, because she's got like a really good staff, and then she's also got like a really good version of like the Azure Blast, like basically Kameha spell.
Gotcha. I've been using the Moonveil still. I think I have it at level 9 right now, and I just need to get one of the greater like dragon stones at this point, and then kind of go from there.
Dude, just keep pumping up your decks and keep pumping up your int, and like that's what I did, and I just blast everything with the Moonveil in like a couple hits.
Yeah, it's been pretty nice so far.
You're almost as high a level as me. I should take
really?
a picture of my stats so that I can because I think I'm at like 114 or something, so you're like right there.
Yeah, I'm not too far, and honestly I've been hitting about 2 to 3 levels a day, depending on like what I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to sit back and do a boss battle, usually doesn't go as well, leveling up wise. But there's been times where I just sit back and I'll grind through a level really quick and get like 50,000 runes and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, what did you have to pick up this week?
So I forgot about this, but you reminded me because we both got copies of Demon Throttle. I don't even remember hearing about it, but it's got Devolver Digital's logo on it. So they, usually publish some pretty good stuff. So I'm in for this, I guess.
I found it so funny where you're like, I don't even know what that game is. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you told me. And you're like,
Yeah,
I
then you
don't know
pulled
if
up
I
the
did.
receipts.
I pulled up a screen cap of like
Yeah.
last year. I'm like, no, you did. You definitely did,
I
dude.
I wonder where I saw it. Like I must have heard about it on a podcast, or maybe it was like,
No, I think it was a Devolver Digital because it was around June. So I think
oh,
it was
so
like
maybe it was at the last Devolver event last year.
their showcase last year for games, and that was
Okay.
one that stuck out. And they were like, pre-orders are open now, and yeah, so
Sick.
we ended up. Yeah, you actually told me, you were like, "Hey, can you get me a copy as well?" I'm like, "Okay, sure." Like, I don't know what this game is, but I'll buy it.
Yeah. And it's
But
by like another like limited release type company.
I am 8-bit,
I am
I
8-bit,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, which I actually just purchased a hard copy of Stray from them.
Oh,
That comes
cool.
out
Yeah,
in
I saw
September.
that that was coming out, a hard copy of that.
Yeah, it comes out September. Um, yeah, we're gonna have to play that one together, Demon Throttle.
Mhm.
I'm excited about it now. I've started watching some more videos.
And then let's see, picked up Power Wash Simulator on Game Pass, and that
What the
is
hell?
such a good game. It is so zen to just sit there and clean. I love it.
It's your game of the year.
Yeah, definitely. And then I got back from my trip this week. I was playing Mega Man Battle Network on the GBA for my trip, and a little bit of like glitching and freezing here and there with the ROM. I'm not sure if it's like, whatever. I just had to save extra often, but it only set me back here and there a little bit. The game's really fun though. The combat is very interesting. Have you ever played these games, John?
We played one together, but it was on GameCube.
Yeah, so on this one, the way that it works is you start off in each the overall main game is just like an RPG where you're walking around, that's all the same as any other game basically, but there are places in the world where you can jack in with Mega Man. So you upload your Mega Man. In this world, everybody has like a net navi or like an online AI avatar assistant, basically, and you battle with them, and you get like chips that you stick into your net navi to like power it up and give it moves for combat. In combat, there is a two sets of grids next to each other that are each 9x9. The right half is red, and that's the enemy's 9x9 grid, and the left half is blue, and that's your 9x9 grid. And you can move all around that grid freely by, just tapping on the D-pad. And your B button shoots your blaster. There is like a charge feature that I haven't really put much points into. You get like upgrade points for your stats. So I don't know how good that eventually gets, but right now my blaster does like 2 damage instead of 1 damage per shot.
So 100% boost.
And then you have a meter that fills up. While that meter's filling up, you're moving, dodging enemy attacks as they go in different patterns along the grid and trying to shoot them with your blaster. Once that charges up, you get a random selection of 5 chips from your library or your folder of 30 that you have equipped. You can choose up to 5 chips to load in to use for like the next until you're waiting for that meter to recharge again. But you can only pick them in certain ways. If there's like, let's say, an attack that's a cannon, you could choose that cannon, and then you could choose any other cannons. Or they also have like a code. So if it's a cannon A, I could also select any other A's that are available from that draw. So you can't just mix and match anything, and you have to build your folder to have enough, diversity, enough power, and enough things that you're not. The idea is not to keep rolling and grabbing just one chip, because that's going to take you a while. Some of the strongest attacks that I've seen do like 120 damage up to this point, and some of the strongest enemies that are just normal random battles are up to like 200 hit points. So to make the battles go quickly, you want to, be blasting as big as you can with your best stuff as often as you can. You can also like roll over your selection to the next round so that you'll have a selection of 10 to choose from instead of just the 5. I hardly ever do that.
So it's Mega Man Chain of Memories, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though. The combat usually goes really quick. Like you get a countdown timer at the end of the battle telling you like how long it took and what your reward for the battle was. You don't really get traditional experience. You just get money or you get attack chips. Defeating bosses often gets you like a chip that lets you like summon that boss guy in to just do an attack. But I mean, everything plays out pretty simply. Most battles are like 10 seconds or less. So it's much quicker than like a Pokemon battle is. But the frequency of battles is pretty high.
Gotcha.
I found myself in several situations where like I would die in a fight and I was just trying to like run up a path to, get to an item just so that I could get out of that program that I was in. Cause you can like leave the program from anywhere at any time, but then you have to start back at like basically the beginning of that dungeon. So like if I saved and got into a fight and died, at least I would be, that 10 steps closer to where I had to be. So I don't know if I was like under leveled for an area or whatever, but the story is pretty straightforward. There was a cartoon based off of this show that I did, or off of this game series. They were like kind of intertwined. I watched a little bit of, so I kind of remember some of the characters and stuff.
I love that show on WB. Like, yeah, it was so good.
It's the game's okay. It doesn't really feel like I have a lot of direction. Like, I guess I'm just not talking to the NPCs as much and I'm kind of just consulting a walkthrough. But some of the things seem kind of dumb. It's like, to trigger this event, you need to get on the metro line, but you were supposed to meet your friend in front of the metro line. So you get on it, go to the place where you're supposed to go, and then come back and then leave. And then she meets you outside and tells you that she's not going to be able to go. It's like, well, good thing I already went and came back to come back and get you. Like, I don't know if they just had to program like weird triggers in, or maybe the guy who wrote this guide is missing like some steps where like maybe if I talked to 3 people in the town or walked around long enough, she would just tell me she's not going to be able to go. So I don't know. It's a fine game though. Like I'm about 8 hours or 9 hours or so in. It's supposed to be like a 14-hour game.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'll
So you're about
probably actually
halfway
be able to wrap this one up
by next week or so.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping that I would be able to beat it on my trip, but I just didn't really wind up sitting down and playing it as much. And that's not a bad thing, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how far I get. What I ultimately wind up thinking about it.
Well, that was a recommendation from Twitter, right? One of our followers on there.
Yeah, somebody on Twitter shouted out when I asked for recommendations.
Nice. Yeah, well, always shoot us recommendations on there. We're always open to trying games.
And then the secret game, John.
Oh my God,
this week in the secret game, you get to ask another question. Yes or no question. Last week's question was, is it a PS2 game? And I said, no.
And so for context, I only asked that because Ryan recently got a PS2.
I did.
So that's the only reason I asked that, because it was fresh. Is it on a console or handheld made by Nintendo?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Nice.
All right.
You'll have to plug that in.
I did. Do you want to like take a guess after each question, or do you even have an idea?
Oh yeah, that'd be fun if we could do a guess after each question. Okay, so is it a One Piece game?
That's another question.
I know, I was trying to trick you. Okay, is it I don't know. I think there's a One Piece game on the Switch, so I'll just ask, is it the One Piece game on the Switch?
That's still another question.
You just said to take a guess.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm not going to give you an answer.
Well, then what the hell are you asking me to guess a game?
It's not the One Piece game.
Okay. Dick. All right. So is it
Oh, are you
on
typing?
a Nintendo console or handheld? All right. And the answer was yes. All right. I think next week's question is going to be, is it on Nintendo Switch? To which Ryan will say no. All right. I have
Oh,
huh.
one more thing for pickup.
Okay.
My Playdate is arriving today.
Oh, sweet. All
Yeah,
right.
it's gonna be today.
We need pictures of
Yeah,
this
I
one.
definitely will. I definitely will. It's gonna be great. I'm so excited.
Nice. Yeah, bring it next week. No, bring it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Like when you
no,
come over tomorrow.
this is gonna be my new daily carry. Like
Oh man.
I've already taken my Game Boy out. It will go back in my display case with all my other handhelds from
Well,
Nintendo.
but you got to beat Mega Man first,
Yeah.
so it can't go into display case yet.
Well, it's just right here. I mean, I'm not going to take it with me everywhere I go anymore, is what I mean.
I gotcha. Anybody that knows Ryan knows that Ryan has a bag of many things
I
that
do.
he actually carries. I've never seen a man with that much stuff in his bag, like toothpicks, floss. It wouldn't surprise me if there was survival gear in there. Like I
You
don't
know,
know how the hell he pulls it out.
I've slimmed down my EDC game a lot lately. I'm trying to be more minimalist because I often find myself very much over prepared. So I'm hoping that the Playdate will help with that.
Watch, one of these days, we're going to need a lighter. And you would have had a lighter in your bag, and it's no longer in there.
You know, I have this really dope lighter. It's right here. You can't tell what it is, but it looks like an old school mini fridge or like an old school refrigerator.
Hmm.
I really like it. I just keep it to light this candle that I have in my room, but it's upgraded with like the double torch barrel from Zippo because
Oh, that's cool.
it's hard to light a candle with a Zippo.
Yeah, I would agree. I use
Yeah.
matches for mine.
So but it just sits here because like I don't smoke. Like there's no reason for me to carry like a lighter everywhere I go, but like once every 6 months somebody asks if I have a lighter and I'm like, nope, honestly I don't, not on me.
The one thing he never has. He's like, but I do have this flint and rock that I can use to light your cigarette.
Right.
All right. So this week we got some interesting articles. Nothing super crazy gaming wise in the world this week. I mean, there are some crazy things, but nothing that we really want to talk about necessarily. The first one I found to be absolutely hilarious. So this is GameStop makes a AAA game just 1 penny, and we'll go into that one in a second. The other one we're going to talk about is if you can beat this horror game in 2 hours, Steam will give you a refund. And the last one we're going to talk about is Nintendo has recently said to stop using a Wi-Fi USB connector due to security concerns. But we'll go over to the first one. This is Tyler Fisher at comicbook.com. And dude, I thought this was great because we talked about Anthem a long time ago, like well over a year
Too
ago,
much.
2 years ago, right? Like a lot, right? It was just hot garbage. Everyone hated it. The servers were trash. Everything just, it went away very quickly. Huge flop. And I just think it's absolutely hilarious that this isn't like GameStop as a whole. Like you can't go out and like get this at every GameStop for a penny. But one particular manager was like, screw this. I'm putting Anthem up for a penny. And that man marked up every, or woman, I don't know if it's specified, but every single copy of Anthem for a penny in their store.
Yeah. So this,
I think that's great.
yeah, this TikToker picked it up for a penny. This story has been kind of going viral. It does say in the article here, and I checked myself, it is still listed for $37.99 on GameStop's website. Price charting has complete in box for PS4 at $452. So I mean, penny's not too far off.
Hey, it's $5 savings right there. Not even $4.51 in savings.
Yeah. So I mean, this is just hilarious. I think that everybody's probably found that one crazy deal. I don't know if this really qualifies as a super crazy deal. Like you're getting a really good price for it, but whether it's actually going to be worth investing your time into, I mean, anything's worth a penny. Like you would get a penny's worth of service out of that game. But I mean, whether the opportunity cost of playing it over playing something else, that's where the real cost comes in.
Well, see, here's where the real savings was. Say, for example, you're one of those people that likes to, I forget what the term is, but you have the gun and you shoot it at discs that are flying in the air and like
Oh,
plates.
uh,
You know what I'm talking about. Or like pull and
skeet
then it,
shooting.
yeah, that. Like this would be perfect. You go in this store, the guy's got 50 copies of Anthem, listed at a penny a piece. You pay 50 cents and you got all of the things you need for skeet shooting.
Dude, I'm sure people did that in the 90s with those AOL discs.
Oh, dude, I know. I'm sure.
You'd get so many of those. For you kids out there that weren't around in the 90s, before the internet was available in tubes, they would send it to you on a disc.
Are you sure it wasn't in like the early 2000s?
I don't know, man.
Pretty sure it was the
I
early
remember
2000s.
living in Colorado and just like frisbeeing these things like up the Greenway.
Like they were so plentiful that you could go into a grocery store and they just had like multiple boxes of
Dude,
sign up AOL for free.
you'd
And
get them with like your pizza, you'd get
oh
them
my
with your
god, yeah.
newspaper, you'd get
They
them in
would
your magazines,
they
just
would
in
come
the
in the mail.
mail.
Random discs in the
Yeah.
mail. So dumb. Like that just shows you terrible marketing right there. All of those dollars that went to discs that nobody actually used. Like it was insane. I don't even like was a process you would just pop it into your computer drive, it would load up, and then you would connect to the internet and then just download the AOL like setup.
I think what they were literally just like CD access keys. Like I think they just had like the 30-day trial access key embedded on the disk so that when you loaded it in and connected to AOL, you would get that trial.
Yeah, I
Because I think
honestly,
you could just like, if you made a new email or whatever, I think you could just keep using like free discs
yeah, but
instead
why
of
would you
just
want to?
paying for
Yeah.
the service.
Oh my god, those were the days, man. I remember like dialing up into just like listening to music on AOL's music. It was
I
so
never did. I never messed with it. Those were just
dude,
frisbees for me.
it was painfully slow. So painful. But yeah, I mean, just like AOL, Anthem, a penny at this one GameStop. You can't get it for a penny anymore, but I think it.
Soon. Let's look.
Yeah, soon,
Price
soon actually.
charting is trending down.
Okay, so it'll be a penny here in the next year or so. Keep your eyes open, people. It'll be worth it for skeet shooters and those looking for brand new PS4 cases, or I guess other game cases. And you just need a blank case. This would be a great way to do it.
You know, I
I
need
thought
some
it.
PS3 cases. What's a penny game for PS3?
Oh man, I don't know. Layer? I have no idea. You could probably get a bunch of Madden games for like $1.
Yeah.
Like honestly, sports games are the way to go with that stuff.
Yeah, I need
'Cause it's
those and
super
I need
cheap.
you to print me those new labels.
Which new labels?
God of War collection and Zone of Enders collection.
Oh yeah. On
I've got
PS3, right?
those in my PS3 boxes or my GameStop boxes still.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. I just got to get the sizes on those, and I'll just pull the artwork and print them.
Yep.
Should be pretty straightforward as long as you got empty cases.
All right.
And actually, I might have some too. Okay,
Sweet.
so I thought that was a funny article, and then here's a great one.
This is a good one.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. So if you can beat this horror game in 2 hours, Steam gives you a refund, and I think the game was Return Me If You Can. Is that what
Yeah.
it's called?
This article is by Ed Smith of PC Games, and the game itself is Refund Me If You Can,
Yeah, Refund Me
developed
If You Can.
by Sun Game Studios. And this is a really interesting, fun idea, and I hope that this article gets bigger and we can give it some blow up and they can make a ton of money off of this because I enjoy this idea.
Dude, I think it's pretty cool. Like the only downside, right, is once somebody has done it and gone through it, what's to stop people from like watching a video and then
Well,
like just kind of playing it? But
it mentions that
def-
in the article. Like,
that
so
defeats the purpose too. You
yeah,
know?
the game itself is basically, it's a horror maze game. There's a big maze, and there's a monster after you. There's like 100 routes through this maze, but only one of them gets you out. Steam has a refund policy that if you play a game for less than 2 hours, you can return it and get your money back. So this game and their developer has decided to, put their money where their mouth is and say, hey, if you can get through this horror maze in less than 2 hours, you're welcome to try to do the refund. And I'm sure some people, will get through the game and not do the refund. They want the devs to keep their money and they'll respect that, having a good time. But for other people who want the challenge and actually would get a refund, I mean, as long as the devs are cool with that, I mean, I think it's a very interesting idea and way to develop like kind of a win scenario around. And
Well,
go ahead.
well, and like, I bring up the YouTube thing, but like, if you're looking for a challenge, you don't want to look up YouTube. Like, you want to try and beat this game within the 2 hours, to your point.
Yeah, what's the
And
point? Just keep your $4 and watch the
yeah,
YouTube video. You'd get the same
exactly.
experience.
Well, not the same, but yeah, I mean, you would get a similar experience in watching just the video itself. So I think this is cool. I agree with you. Like, this is an opportunity for the dev to put their money where their mouth is, or mouth where their money is. I don't remember the correct term. Mouth where your money is. I don't know. I think it's a great opportunity for the dev. I think it's a little. I'm trying to think of the right word here.
Cheeky.
Yeah, cheeky actually is about the right word for this. Like, it's just a cool concept, and I think that the dev is going to get a lot of interest from people that are looking to do this. They're going to have a number of people that attempt and can't get through in 2 hours, so they keep the sales from that. They're going to get the people, like you said, that attempt, complete it, and say, I'm going to leave the money at the dev as $4, and then you're going to get those people like, I want a refund. But I think this is pretty good publicity for a game like this.
This would be a great stream game if this catches on Twitch. It won't last very long. Like, a lot of people won't be able to keep doing it for very long because quickly you're going to have an audience just telling you which way to go.
Yeah.
So I guess if you ignore the audience, that'll be fine. But like, this would be a really good like Twitch challenge, I think, for people to do.
Yeah, and I don't know if you could turn off comments on Twitch, but that might be something cool to, make sure, like that you don't have people like telling you, hey, I want to go here, and all the
Or
distractions.
set up like a Twitch plays. Like, if this is literally just navigating a maze,
Yeah.
like you could make like a user interface version for this game where like the crowd has to navigate it successfully.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be a lot of fun actually to participate in. Kind of like when they did Pokemon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Twitch plays Pokemon.
Stuff.
Now you could play you could play Pokemon in your Twitter avatar.
What?
Yeah, there's a Twitter account that like you like tweet an input, and then the avatar for the Twitter handle changes to the next frame in the game, and you can play like all of Pokemon just like in a Twitter avatar.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, can it play Pokemon?
Right?
Yeah.
At this point.
It's instead of Doom, it's can it play Pokemon? All right. Next thing here, and by the way, that last piece was Ed Smith at PC Games N. So, which is so interesting to put the N at the end. You're just like, maybe it's for PC Games Now. That's why I don't know.
New.
It's interesting.
Next.
PC Games New. I think it's just that there was already a PCGames.com, and he's like PCGamesN.com. That's what
maybe all the other letters were taken up to N.
All the other. Yeah. So this, I don't know. This is a good one. I'll have to tell you. So I was talking to Joel the other day, and he made a preparation H joke, and he's just like, well, we tried A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and well, we got the preparation H. So I think it's a very similar situation for PCGames.com. All right. So next thing here is Nintendo says to stop using its Wi-Fi USB connector due to security concerns. This is Jim Norman at Nintendo Life that wrote this one up. And so basically there is a USB device that connects to Wi-Fi that was released in like 2008 to 2000 or 2005, 2008 that could be utilized on your Wii, and it could be used on your Nintendo DS. I had no idea these existed, and I worked in a game store, and I never saw these, dude.
Yeah, dude. Back before like having like a wireless modem at home was like really catching on. This is what I got because like I had my DS and I wanted to play with my friends, and I knew it was a thing, so I went and bought this. You just plug this into your tower, and then your tower would broadcast Wi-Fi out through that device. So you didn't need like a brand. I mean, at the time, wireless routers would have been very expensive.
I do remember this actually.
Yeah,
I actually do remember this.
It worked pretty good. Like, I mean, I definitely used this a ton to play like Mario Kart DS and play Metroid Prime Hunters on DS and stuff with my friends. It was a killer time. I thought it worked really well. I probably didn't use it for my Wii because I probably didn't play any online games for Wii.
Yeah, I mean, the Wii version doesn't make sense because I guess if you're trying to, yeah, I just don't know like why you would need it for the Wii.
Maybe
And it kind of,
downloading.
but like the Wii had Wi-Fi on it,
Yeah, but
so
this isn't for like the DS had Wi-Fi on it too. This is if you don't have a router, like a wireless modem broadcasting Wi-Fi, you plug this into your tower and then your tower broadcasts the Wi-Fi so that you can buy this for $40 instead of like a $200 wireless router.
oh, I see, I see. Yeah, because for whatever reason, it keeps sticking in my mind the Xbox 360 and the wireless adapter that would go on the back of your console for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what always sticks in my mind when I think wireless device for a system.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, I guess it makes sense like to spend $40 to do that instead and have this wireless setup. And honestly, I just frankly don't know enough about it because I never had to use one. I remember hearing about it, and I think I saw one come in from the game in the game store I worked in, and that was like 2011 or 12 that I saw that, and it was literally just the one time. I had never come across any other since then.
Because back then, unless you had a laptop, there was nothing else to plug into Wi-Fi. Like you weren't really doing anything on your phone that needed Wi-Fi. Tablets didn't exist.
I mean,
there was no
I think they did
smartphones.
in 2005, 2008. No, yeah, you're right. 2005, 2000. Well, 2008 was.
That's when the iPhone came out.
Yeah.
2007, right?
Yeah, dude. Oh my God, time flies by.
So, I mean, the DS, like, that was the first thing in my house that I was like, I need whatever Wi-Fi is.
Wi-Fi,
You know?
And that's what we called it. Yep. Oh man. Dude, I cannot like.
So
now
don't
that you
use it.
mention it.
It's a
Yeah,
fun memory, but don't use it.
Fun.
It's
I mean,
corrupt and it'll destroy your computer.
I mean, it was a fun memory, and it can create new fun memories if somebody can hack into your system.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of fun memories. Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to say on this. Don't use it if you got it today. It would not surprise me though if people are still using this in lieu of a wireless setup.
You know, if there was a secondhand market for these things and they were going for any amount of money, I wonder if that's out the window now.
Yeah, probably is. I would imagine. So
I can't imagine an accessory like this would really be for sale other than it says Nintendo on it. Maybe
dude,
somebody wants it.
People still buy like the Xbox 360 wireless adapter thing.
Well, wireless adapters are great for a modern age. It's the same problem. Like that's the crappy thing about like your place with like your downstairs entertainment center. Like you can't have any of your old consoles hooked up there because they don't make 15-foot cords for a PlayStation 2.
Well, they have extenders.
Well, they do, but I mean, it becomes untenable with dogs and stuff.
I know. That's why it's upstairs.
It's not set up to work like that.
I mean, realistically, if I wanted to, I could buy Logitech controllers and wireless for everything.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to have to deal with batteries. So that's why I have wired upstairs, which I got to clean up still. But
they need a universal controller.
I think they have stuff like that. Like they have
basically a nice Xbox controller, but with like a wireless adapter for any console.
So
just on like a key ring.
They have it from a wired perspective. They used to have those. And it was for like PS2.
But it probably looks like
Xbox.
One of those spaghetti chargers like they had for cell phones.
It does actually. I think I have one. I got to look for it. But no, I've seen what I want. Like
a key ring of just like little pucks that plug into every device, and you just plug it into whatever you want to play, and it always connects to your controller.
Or hear me out, you could just have a dongle that connects via USB and then it just plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they make stuff like that. Or have made stuff like that. It's not something I ever really researched because I didn't care for it. I've always liked OEM. Mm-hmm. So yeah. But don't use the Wi-Fi. Okay. Next thing. Oh no, hold on. Really quick though. Going back to that 360 piece. I still don't understand it because the amount of 360s that are out there that are not the white version, like the original white version or the original black version, like, the older 360 or the newest 360 models, why would you ever go back to those models? Like, I don't know, like, see a purpose in going to those. And the newer ones have Wi-Fi already built
Yeah,
in. So like
that's true.
you shouldn't have to, like, it's just dumb. Every time I see these sell on eBay or I pick them up and sell them on eBay, I'm like, why did you buy this for me? Like, there are other options out there. Like, did
Yeah,
you get a free Xbox and it doesn't connect to Wi-Fi? So you're paying the $40? Like, you might as well sell that one and spend the extra $50 to go get a better Xbox.
yeah.
So
I should play my Xbox again someday. I'm staring at it right now. It's always looking at me. I got the Star Wars one. And I
yeah.
haven't
So
plugged it in years.
by the way, terrible thoughts just ran through my head. I saw your corgi run behind onto that mat on the floor, and I was just wondering if you had a little child in that room, we could
Yeah,
really, yeah, yeah.
I've got the little alchemy circle. My dog lays on it. It's forbidden magic.
I will never bring my child over there.
Sweet.
All right. So the next thing we got here is our inflation deflation. We've got Pinobee on the PlayStation 1. It was developed by Artoon, published by Konami. It was directed by Naoto Oshima and Yukata Sugano. And it was released in April of 2003. It is a platformer, and it has a reception of 6 out of 10 to 4 out of 5. It's a lot of range on this one, but there's few ratings. I found a few reviews that other people did, and they shared a lot of my thoughts as well. So
We didn't play this one together today, so I'm actually very interested to hear John's take on this because I don't know how far you got, John. I got like
I beat the
12
first
levels
boss.
in.
Oh, really? Yeah, I just beat the first boss.
Okay, yeah. So I
Yeah.
played a lot more of it than you did the spider guy.
Yeah, but I got a late start because I had to feed my dogs and they were
Mm-hmm.
like being picky with their food. So I probably wasted 10, 15 minutes on
That's
that. I
fine.
would have got a lot further. So yeah, I was like, I got to get to at least the first boss. By the way, you beat half the game. It's only like 24, 25 levels.
Yeah, but a lot of it I think is going back into previous levels and doing different things once you get more dashes.
But you really don't need to, and that's the issue I have is that, like, that first boss battle, like, that was the easiest boss battle I've ever had in any game. In fact, I think it was easier than Blue's Clues when we played Blue's Clues and Mrs. Spider Tea Party.
I
It
don't
was
think
not
it was
hard.
that easy.
It was not hard. Like, there's
I mean,
the
it wasn't
spider.
hard, but it wasn't like Kirby easy.
No, it was
I mean,
easier
it's
than
just about Kirby easy.
It was much easier. Like, the spider drops bombs, and you're like, hit the bomb with your head, stand in the middle, and then it does damage. Like that. As long as you angle it right, you're fine. Like a child could play it and beat it.
Well, it's
So
probably a child's game, John.
it probably is, like many games that I own. Um, so my overall thoughts on this game, I felt that graphically it held up for PlayStation 1. I think you had mentioned before we started recording that the Game Boy version, which is so this game actually started as a GBA game and then was developed on the PS1 afterwards, which is very interesting. I'd never
It
really
looks like a GBA game on the PS1. Like I've been
Yeah.
playing GBA all week and I was like
I mean, it's a platform, right? There's plenty of platformers that I own on the PS1, like Silhouette Mirage, that you just look at and you're like, this is probably a GBA game, but I don't think it is. But no, it was interesting that it was developed on GBA first and then on PlayStation 1. I don't think I've come across that before, which was very interesting. I'm sure there's more like that. So I don't know, maybe it's a future episode. Play both
oh
versions.
yeah, we could do
Yeah.
we could do a 3 for 3 on that.
Yeah. Well, we haven't done that episode yet. People don't know about it, Ryan. They don't know about the challenge, triple threat challenges.
They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out at some point, yeah, in the future. So, okay, so graphically, I felt it held up for a PS1 game. I felt it was fine. As you said, GBA probably looks about the same, if not better, which is also interesting. Control-wise, it felt kind of interesting. Like, the controls were okay, but there was like a floaty type of feel you would get. Like sometimes a character would pause, like Pinobee would pause in midair, which was kind of odd. And you had to like, I don't know, it's just a struggle for me sometimes to control him every now and then. You do pick up like these abilities throughout. Like there's these bags, like look like money bags of a question mark, and they're all different abilities. I didn't even dive that deep to see if I could equip different ones. I'm sure you can. But you just pick them up constantly through levels. Like I think I came across like 30 in a little bit of time I played during my exploration.
I could explain those.
Okay, so you'll explain it in your part. You do have the dashes. So you start with one dash, and as you progress in different levels, you get multiple dashes. I think I got up to 3. You pick up flowers, which are also like, it says energy in the top corner. honestly, it didn't seem to make any crazy difference as I was
I
playing.
assume if you run out of energy, you die. Like,
I would
if you just
assume.
get too lost in a level where you've already picked up all the flowers and you just can't find your way out, it's probably going to kill you so that it can respawn the flowers, because those at least kind of help lead you in the direction you need to go.
Yeah, and the flowers actually carry over to the next level, so you could have like 30 in one, the next one you get another 30 and so on, and then it just kind of builds up. And then it caps at 100, so you can't get any
Yeah.
more than 100 in every level. So yeah, there was that. I felt the camera angles were horrific.
The
It was
camera
very
angles, it was only a side on view.
it was a side on view, but the angle in which the camera was sitting, like not angle, sorry, wrong way. The camera, the way it functioned was jittery. Like it moved from one side to the next. I had issues with like jumping to different platforms. The camera just shoot like over to that side, like to continue on.
Hmm.
Honestly, I started getting motion sick while I was playing some of this.
Hmm.
It was just an odd situation. Like, I don't know if anybody's played out there, you might share my thoughts, you might not. Take a look at that. Like, as you're playing, just kind of focus on the camera and like what it's doing as you're playing and progressing through the level. And you'll notice that it's like it shoots over to various directions, depending where you're at. It's not like a slowly progress with the character. It's a as the character moves a little bit, the camera shoots over to the next pane
So
and
it's
shoots over the
like,
next pane.
it's almost like it's doing screens.
Yeah,
And
in a
it's like
sense.
shifting over a screen instead of having like a smooth pan in like a Mario where you're just
Yeah,
always in the center of focus.
exactly. And so over time, like I got used to it, but like at first I was getting pretty motion sick with
Weird.
that game. And I just had to focus on like the character himself and just kind of go from there. If my eyes stayed away from the character in any capacity, I noticed that camera shake and it was just terrible. Like I hated that.
Hmm.
So that was rough for me. I felt that the levels were very simplistic. You could rush through them in like less than a minute, like most of these that I played. It wasn't that hard. There's very, very few enemies throughout the levels. You have like a few beetles, like a gold one that you have to hit twice and a regular one. And then you got like some moths or butterflies that you're going across, and that's it. And then you're like big enemies of cricket that you see every now and then. So, like, very few enemies. There wasn't a whole lot of puzzle aspect to it. There are some hidden areas where you can kind of go through walls like Sonic and go to like various parts. It had like Donkey Kong vibes going for it during that barrel level where I'm like blasting barrels in multiple
Yeah.
directions. So that was kind of weird. Um, Overall, it's like a hodgepodge of a bunch of different platformers to try and create this one platformer in a Pinocchio story. And I just wasn't really feeling it. It's a little too simple for me for a platformer, and there wasn't a whole lot going on that I would like to see. I might honestly go upstairs later and beat it just because I can. But it didn't grip me as
How
much as
many
like Guitar
dashes did
Man.
you get? Just like 2
I got
or
up to
3?
3. I got up to
Okay.
3.
So
Yeah.
once you start getting more dashes, like I got up to 5, and you feel a lot more freedom of movement, like not having to land every 2 seconds, like, and being able to actually jump up multiple platforms. It feels a lot better. And um the items are actually, I was really confused on the items until I got enough to figure out what it is. So did you go into like the item screen to look at them?
I did. Yeah, and I saw all of them
So
like broken out into quadrants and such.
as you make rows and columns, the lights at either end light up and you get whatever effect by
Mm.
having collected those. So if you have a row of all orange, they come in the suits of playing cards. So if you get an orange, you know, one of diamonds, orange, one of hearts, clubs, spades, you get an extra dash. And then there's also pink and blue charts, but they all have the same power up rewards for them. And you can only have like 30 or however many items at a time. So you have to strategically choose which ones you want to drop so that they're not crowding up your inventory. So that as you pick up more of those randoms, you can um fill out and keep determining which of the boosts you want. Like, do you want more health? Do you want to take less damage? Do you want more dashes? Do you want to be able to identify what's in those mystery things so you know if it's worth picking up or managing your inventory more? So there is like actually some like depth there. I don't think any of it really matters. Like, you could take like 3 or 4 hits, so taking some more hits is good if you know, are having a hard time, but I feel like by the time you would be able to passively put together most of those rewards, like unless it's just going for extra dashes to make it faster, it doesn't seem like they're really going to do much for you. But
Yeah,
it
it didn't
is an
really.
interesting system. I would have liked to see this same system implemented in a better game because I think it is interesting.
Yeah, it didn't seem to really impact what I was doing. The dashes did because obviously I could get to certain areas, a little easier than others. So I did have my 3 dashes, and I didn't really pay attention too much to the item system because I just felt that it wasn't really impacting the level of
Well, it
gameplay for
won't
me.
impact anything until you get a whole column. So you need all of the like 1, 2, 3, 4 hearts of
Yeah,
orange,
no,
or
I
yeah,
get that. I'm just questioning like the overall impact in beating the game. Like, is it 100% necessary to get those? Maybe it is. Maybe like you need 5, 6
probably not.
dashes.
He
But
does comment after every level if you weren't able to kill a golden enemy though.
yeah, he does mention that. Like, I didn't kill a golden enemy today, or I did kill one, and
Mhm.
I don't know what's going on with Grandpa. I need to leave this, this forest and all this other stuff.
He
So
references going back to other levels. Like after I beat level 10, he was like, "Oh, I've got the thing that I can do." Or no, if I hit the switch in level 9, it'll reverse all of the treadmills.
yeah,
So maybe I'll do that. And it implements some other things. So like in some of the other levels, there's like moving like treadmills on the ground. Those cannons are a lot bigger in some of the later areas.
yeah,
Um, the enemies don't really change much. Like the game doesn't really evolve too much from what you saw. But I mean, honestly, I think that this would be a way better Game Boy game, GBA game than a PS1 game. I just expect more out of a PS1 game than this, I guess. And the controls were really bizarre at first. So like jump is circle and dash is just jump again. And then to open the menu, start and select is circle, but to back out you have to hit triangle. like it's not just like you're kind of guessing each time what button is going to do what. Like to progress through like all the talking at the end of the level, it's like the only time you have to hit X for anything.
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely interesting in that regard. And like, if you like, triangles actually used in certain instances as well for like the menu, when you're going into the items, and I think the gallery, like the collectibles, that's where triangles used. And it's a very odd button layout. Like, I don't know, it's just not something I was expecting. So brass tacks in this game, 2208 for a complete in box. It peaked at 2227 in June of this year. I don't know what it's trending.
It's
Ryan, you
trending
didn't mark that
down.
down. That doesn't surprise me. A loose copy will run you $9.09, and it peaked at 1204 in February of this year. I assume that's also trending down.
It's
It is
kind of holding.
holding. Okay, cool. Now you can also grab this game on the Game Boy Advance. I know we haven't done this in a while, but I think it's important for this particular game. A loose copy will run you $897 on the Game Boy Advance right now, and a complete in box copy will actually run you $1639. So it is a little slightly cheaper on the Game Boy Advance, if that's your preferred method of play. I honestly, for a game like this, I would want to play this on a GBA versus playing it on the PlayStation 1 again. Um, so that's just my general thoughts. I think from an overall review perspective, as far as if I were to give it like a score, I would say that 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 is probably about right on the PlayStation 1 version. I can't judge a GBA version because I haven't played it, but I would imagine control wise might feel a little more fluid for me on a smaller screen versus this one. In my mind, this game, though, oh, dude, at $22, given a price of PlayStation 1 games, I mean, I hate to say inflated because, I mean, frankly, it is, I guess. Did you look up like the history, like what it was sitting at before all of this?
So I mean, it's
So it was floating in 2020, sitting around like $11 for the longest time for a complete in box copy, and it was sitting at about $5 loose. Looking at that, I'm going to say this is inflated.
yeah,
I don't
definitely.
think I think the 2020 pricing was right for this game. The 2022 pricing is just out of this world. It's ridiculous. Like not ridiculous. I mean, it's still affordable, but it's not worth it at that. Like find another method to play or buy it loose. I mean, if you really want to play it, buy it loose.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
All right. So you're also uninflated?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. So I don't know what we're playing next week, as you know, with every week, but I did just get a crap ton of Sega games.
Yeah, we better.
Yeah, we better. So I think we got some options now. Honestly, I kind of want to play Booger Man.
All right, Booger Man it is.
I've always heard so many great things about it, and I've never played it. So I really want to play some Booger Man. So that's what we'll do. Booger Man next week on the Sega Genesis. And Ryan is so excited. I'm going to give him a 6-button controller. It's going to be
so
fantastic.
Excited.
Well, I mean, you could play it on the Retron if you want.
Yeah.
Play with that controller. And then you've got, like 12 buttons. So it'll be even better. All right, man. Well, this has been episode 193 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.